The edge of the Imperium glittered with the cold, distant light of 1,000 stars. High Commander Zarek stood at the observation deck of his command vessel. Golden eyes narrowed as he studied the newly conquered frontier world beneath them. The blue-green sphere rotated lazily, its atmosphere still clouded with the remnants of the last orbital bombardment that had subjugated the native species just 3 lunar cycles ago. Another insignificant rock added to the glorious expansion, he murmured, mandibles clicking softly in satisfaction. His exoskeletal armor gleamed under the dim light, each plate engraved with the symbols of his many successful campaigns. 73 planets had fallen to his tactical brilliance, and not once had the Imperium faced any worthy resistance. The galaxy, it seemed, was filled with primitive species waiting to be conquered. High Commander, his communications officer interrupted, voice tight with unusual tension. Our sensors have detected an unidentified vessel approaching the planet's atmosphere. Zarek's posture stiffened slightly. Origin: unknown, sir. It bears no signatures matching our database. The design is unfamiliar. Show me. The holographic display flickered to life before him, revealing a sleek, angular craft unlike anything in the Imperium's extensive records. It was relatively small, perhaps capable of carrying no more than a few dozen occupants, and lacked the ostentatious weaponry typically displayed by warships. Its hull was a dull gray, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with minimal energy signatures radiating from its exterior. Curious, Zarek mused. A scout? A diplomatic vessel? Or perhaps... His mandibles clicked together in amusement. Foolish adventurers who haven't heard of our presence. They're transmitting, sir, the communications officer reported. An open channel request. Let us hear what they have to say. The communication screen flickered, and a human face appeared. Female, by their species dimorphism, with short dark hair, framing sharp features. Her expression was composed, professional, showing neither fear nor aggression. This is Captain Irene Cole of the Earth Exploratory Unit. We request peaceful communication with the governing authority of this sector. Zarek studied the human with interest. He had encountered their kind in passing. Reports from distant sectors suggested they were an emerging species, technologically advancing but still confined mostly to their home planet and a handful of nearby colonies. Nothing that warranted particular attention from the Imperium's expansion forces. I am High Commander Zarek of the 7th Imperium Fleet, he responded, deliberately emphasizing his military title. This planet and surrounding space are under Imperium control. State your purpose. The human captain nodded respectfully. We're a small exploratory team conducting a survey of this region of space. We had no intention of encroaching on claimed territory and request permission to establish temporary observation facilities on the planet's surface for scientific purposes only. Zarek's inner eyelids flickered, the equivalent of a human raising an eyebrow. Scientific purposes? A likely cover story. Intelligence reports suggested humans were expansionist by nature, though lacking the military might to challenge established powers like the Imperium. This was likely an advanced team testing boundaries. Your request is denied, he stated flatly. This sector is closed to foreign entities. You will depart immediately. Captain Cole maintained her calm demeanor. High Commander, we have no hostile intentions. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss terms for limited access? We have technologies and resources that might be of mutual benefit. The Imperium does not negotiate with lesser species, Zarek declared. You have one planetary rotation to leave this system, or we will consider your presence an act of aggression. Something flickered briefly in the human's eyes. Not fear, as Zarek had expected, but something that looked almost like satisfaction. Before he could analyze it further, she nodded. We understand your position, Commander. However, we must insist on our right to peaceful exploration under the Galactic Commons Treaty. Zarek burst into harsh laughter. The Galactic Commons? That coalition of weak worlds has no authority in Imperium space. Your treaties mean nothing here. Then perhaps we can establish new understanding between our peoples, Cole persisted. Zarek cut the transmission with a sharp gesture. Monitor their vessel, he ordered his crew. Any attempt to land on the planet will be met with immediate interception. The master tactician approached, his elaborate headdress marking his rank and analytical specialty. High Commander, initial scans of their vessel show unusual energy signatures. Their propulsion system appears to be using principles our scientists have theorized but never successfully implemented. Are you suggesting these humans possess technology superior to the Imperium? Zarek's tone carried a dangerous edge. No, sir. Merely different. It would be valuable to examine their craft more closely. Zarek considered this. Perhaps these humans could serve a purpose after all. Deploy an intercept team. Bring their vessel into our holding bay. I want their technology analyzed and their personnel interrogated. And if they resist, a dismissive wave, a vessel that small, against an Imperium battlecruiser, they will be fools to try. As the orders went out, Zarek returned to the observation window. This minor interruption would soon be resolved, and the glory of the Imperium would continue unimpeded. These humans would learn, as all others had, that resistance against the Imperium was futile. Little did he know that the first seeds of doubt had already been planted. Captain Irene Cole sat in her command chair aboard the modest vessel, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth as she observed the Imperium cruiser's approach on her monitors. They took the bait, she commented to her executive officer. Exactly as intelligence predicted, bringing all systems to ready status, her officer replied. Defensive measures activated. The ship's apparent simplicity was its greatest deception. Beneath the unassuming exterior lay a network of advanced systems specifically designed to test the Imperium's response patterns. Every aspect of their encounter was being meticulously recorded and analyzed. Remember, Cole reminded her crew as the Imperium vessel loomed larger on their screens. This is a reconnaissance mission. We gather information, we test their capabilities, and we maintain the facade at all costs. Her hand rested lightly on a secure communications device, their direct line to the human Alliance fleet stationed far beyond the reach of Imperium sensors. The real assessment had only just begun. The intercept was swift and aggressive, exactly as Captain Cole had anticipated. 3 Imperium shuttles surrounded her vessel, their weapons trained on critical systems. A booming voice demanded immediate surrender and docking compliance. This is going to be interesting, Cole murmured to her crew. Maintain protocol and remember your training. We're the first humans they've encountered directly. Let's make an impression. She opened the channel to the Imperium forces. This is Captain Cole. We are a peaceful exploratory vessel and will comply with your instructions under protest. The human vessel allowed itself to be escorted into the massive docking bay of Zarek's command ship. As they were pulled into the cavernous metal space, Cole's crew made final preparations, subtle, undetectable adjustments to equipment, activation of passive scanning systems, and the seamless encryption of all sensitive data. When the docking clamps engaged and Imperium troops surrounded the airlock, Captain Cole stood ready at the entrance, her posture deliberately non-threatening but dignified. The airlock hissed open to reveal a contingent of heavily armored soldiers, towering insectoid forms bristling with weapons that hummed with energy. I protest this forced boarding of an unarmed exploratory vessel, Cole stated firmly, though she already knew her words would have no impact. The lead soldier stepped forward. By order of High Commander Zarek, you and your crew are detained for questioning. Resistance will result in immediate termination. Cole nodded calmly. We understand. We will cooperate. As they were escorted through the corridors of the Imperium vessel, Cole's trained eyes absorbed every detail. The layout, the technology, the compositions of the various species serving as crew members. Each observation was automatically recorded by the subtle devices woven into her standard-issue uniform. What appeared to be simple decorative patterns were actually sophisticated recording instruments, capturing everything from atmospheric composition to energy signatures. Meanwhile, Zarek's technical teams swarmed over the human vessel, tearing into compartments and analyzing equipment. Their initial reports flowed into the command center, where Zarek waited impatiently. High Commander, the lead technician reported, their vessel contains technology that is perplexing. Explain, Zarek demanded. Their propulsion system utilizes principles we've only theorized. The efficiency is remarkable. In their communication array, it seems capable of transmitting through subspace corridors we cannot detect. But most concerning, the technician hesitated. Continue. Some of their weapons systems, while small in scale, demonstrate capability to penetrate our standard shielding. The design is elegant, miniaturized, but potent. Zarek's mandibles clicked in agitation. You're suggesting this tiny exploratory vessel carries weapons that could damage an Imperium warship? Impossible. Not impossible, sir. Just unexpected. These are not the primitive humans described in our intelligence reports. While this assessment was taking place, Captain Cole and her crew were being processed in a detention area. They surrendered their obvious equipment without resistance, knowing that the truly sophisticated devices were undetectable to Imperium scanners. You claim to be explorers, the interrogation officer stated, looming over Cole in the stark interrogation chamber. Yet your vessel carries weapons systems. Cole maintained her composed demeanor. Standard defensive measures for any ship venturing into unknown territory. The galaxy can be dangerous. And what exactly were you hoping to explore in Imperium territory? As I told your commander, we didn't realize this was claimed space. Our star charts must be outdated. The interrogator slammed a clawed appendage against the metal table. Do not lie. Your systems are too advanced for simple exploration. What is your true purpose? Cole allowed herself a small smile. The truth is exactly what I've stated. We're here to observe, learn, and establish whether peaceful relations are possible. The Imperium does not seek peaceful relations with species that might challenge our supremacy. That's valuable information in itself, Cole replied evenly. Thank you for the clarification. The interrogator was taken aback by her calm response. Most species cowered before Imperium authority. This human showed no fear at all. Hours passed as the questioning continued, yielding nothing of value to the Imperium. Simultaneously, Cole's seemingly dormant vessel was quietly gathering data, its passive systems mapping the interior structure of the Imperium ship, cataloging energy signatures, and decrypting communication protocols. She reveals nothing useful. The interrogator finally reported to Zarek. Either she's extraordinarily well-trained, or there's truly nothing to reveal. What about the others in her crew? The same. They maintain they are merely explorers. Zarek's frustration mounted. Hold them in detention. I want their vessel disassembled component by component. If they possess technology that could threaten the Imperium, I want to know exactly how it functions. Little did the Imperium command know that the first phase of Captain Cole's mission was already complete. The scout vessel had gathered critical intelligence on Imperium capabilities, command structure, and response protocols. Now came the second phase, testing their military response. In the quiet hours of the ship's night cycle, a small drone no larger than an insect detached itself from the underside of Cole's equipment belt where she slept in her cell. It slipped through the ventilation system, navigating with precision to the ship's main engineering section. Once there, it attached itself to a power distribution node and executed its programmed task, a controlled power surge that would temporarily disrupt non-essential systems. The effects were immediate. Emergency lighting flashed throughout the vessel as auxiliary systems kicked in. Alarms blared, and crew members scrambled to identify the source of the malfunction. What happened? Zarek demanded as he strode onto the command deck, hastily donning his ceremonial armor. Unknown power surge in sections 5 through 8, his second-in-command reported. Damage appears minimal, but diagnostic systems are offline in those areas. The human prisoners? Still secured, High Commander. Zarek's eyes narrowed suspiciously. This is too convenient. Check their vessel again, more thoroughly this time. As the Imperium crew scrambled to identify the source of the disruption, more microscopic drones were deploying throughout the ship, gathering data, infiltrating computer systems, and mapping vulnerabilities. The human vessel, meanwhile, had initiated a subtle, self-destruct sequence that would leave nothing of value for Imperium engineers to discover. By morning cycle, Zarek faced compounding problems. The human vessel had seemingly suffered a catastrophic system failure, destroying most of its valuable technology before it could be properly analyzed. Several key systems on his own ship were experiencing unexplained malfunctions. And now, reports were coming in that the planet below was experiencing unrest among the recently subjugated native population. This cannot be coincidence, Zarek hissed to his war council. These humans, they are more than they appear. Agreed, his master tactician replied. Our initial assessment may have been flawed. I recommend immediate elimination of the human prisoners before they can cause further disruption. Zarek considered this. No, they are valuable intelligence assets. I want them transferred to our highest security facility on the planet's surface. Deploy additional forces to quell any native uprising. And send word to the Central Command. Request reinforcements for this sector. Reinforcements? For dealing with a hand to release all human personnel and withdraw your forces from bombardment range. After that, we will take necessary action to protect our people. The transmission cut off before Zarek could respond. He turned to his master tactician, fury evident in every movement of his armored form. Analyze their vessels. What are we facing? The tactician worked frantically at his console. Their shields are unlike anything in our database. Energy readings suggest weapons capabilities at least equal to our own destroyers. But sir, there are only 3 vessels. We have an entire battle group. Zarek's confidence returned somewhat. Prepare for combat. If these humans want a demonstration of Imperium power, we shall oblige them. What followed was a brief but spectacular exchange that would later be studied in Imperium war colleges as a turning point in military doctrine. The 3 human vessels, despite being outnumbered 4-1, executed a series of maneuvers that defied conventional space combat tactics. They seemed to anticipate the Imperium attack patterns, countering each thrust with precise defensive positioning. When they returned fire, their weapons struck with surgical precision, disabling weapons systems and propulsion without destroying the vessels outright. It was not the approach of a desperate, outmatched force. It was the calculated response of a superior military power choosing to exercise restraint. In the command center, Zarek watched in growing disbelief as his proud battle group was systematically neutralized. Impossible, he whispered as another of his destroyers reported complete weapons failure. High Commander, his communications officer interrupted, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's Captain Cole. The screen flickered to life, showing Cole standing calmly in what appeared to be a makeshift command center. Behind her, natives of the planet worked alongside her human team, operating equipment that was clearly of Earth origin. High Commander Zarek, she greeted him as composed as during their first meeting. I see you've met our response team. What is the meaning of this? Zarek demanded. You claim to be explorers. We are explorers, Cole confirmed. Scout Unit 7, Earth Expeditionary Force. We're tasked with making first contact with potentially hostile species and assessing their response patterns and military capabilities. Scout Unit, Zarek repeated, the words feeling strange in his mouth. Yes, Cole replied calmly. Just a small reconnaissance team. Surely you didn't think we represented Earth's main military force. The implication struck Zarek like a physical blow. All this time, all the frustration, the unexpected resistance, had come from a mere scouting party? What do you want? He finally asked, his usual imperious tone notably absent. The same thing I wanted when we first arrived. Dialogue. Understanding whether peaceful relations are possible. Unfortunately, your initial response has provided valuable data about the Imperium's diplomatic stance. As Cole spoke, Zarek's master analyst approached, looking distinctly uncomfortable. High Commander, I have completed analysis of the combat data from our engagement with the human vessels. And Zarek prompted impatiently. Sir, they were holding back. Our systems detect capabilities they did not utilize. Their weapons could have destroyed our vessels, not merely disabled them. On the screen, Cole nodded as if she could hear this exchange. Commander Hayes is exercising remarkable restraint. High Commander, I suggest you take advantage of his patience. The Imperium does not surrender, Zarek declared, though with notably less conviction than before. No one is asking for surrender, Cole assured him. Merely withdrawal from this planet and the release of any remaining human personnel. In exchange, we will share no knowledge of the Imperium's tactical shortcomings with other species in this sector. The implied threat was clear. If word spread that the mighty Imperium had been bested by a human scout team, their reputation would suffer irreparable damage. Zarek felt trapped, a sensation entirely new to him. Fighting would likely lead to defeat. Withdrawal would mean humiliation. Staying in this stalemate would accomplish nothing. I must consult with Central Command, he finally said. Of course, Cole replied. You have 6 hours. After that, Commander Hayes will proceed with the next phase of operations. She didn't specify what those operations might entail. She didn't need to. The demonstration had been clear enough. As Zarek prepared his report for Central Command, carefully phrasing it to minimize his own culpability in the disaster, his master analyst approached again. Sir, there's something else you should see. The holographic display activated, showing a star map of the known galaxy. Points of light indicated Imperium territories and outposts. But now, previously, invisible markers appeared, hundreds of them scattered throughout Imperium space. What am I looking at? Zarek demanded. Data extracted from the human communications we managed to partially decrypt. These points appear to represent human scout units similar to Captain Cole's team. They've been operating throughout our territory for years, gathering intelligence, establishing relationships with subjugated species. Zarek stared at the display in growing horror. All this time, we've been watched, studied, like specimens in a laboratory. It appears so, sir. And these scout units, they all have capabilities similar to what we've encountered here. Based on the data patterns, yes. Some potentially more advanced. Zarek's mind reeled with the implications. If each scout unit could cause this much disruption, and if they were backed by combat vessels like those now orbiting the planet, and their home fleet, what do we know of Earth's primary military force? The analyst's antennae drooped in a gesture of extreme concern. Very little, sir, but extrapolating from what we've observed, it would be substantial. Central Command's response arrived within the hour, faster than standard protocols would normally allow, indicating the seriousness with which they viewed the situation. The orders were clear. Withdraw all forces from the planet, release any human captives, and return to the nearest major Imperium base for debriefing. For the first time in his career, Zarek was being ordered to retreat. The shame was almost unbearable. The glory of the Imperium will endure, his second assured him as they prepared to withdraw. This is merely a strategic repositioning. Is it? Zarek wondered aloud. Or is it the beginning of the end? As the Imperium forces prepared for departure, Captain Cole requested a final meeting with Zarek. Against his better judgment, he agreed. They met in a neutral location, one of the few Imperium structures on the planet's surface that remained intact. Cole arrived with only a single aide, unarmed, but radiating a confidence that Zarek found deeply unsettling. I wanted to thank you. High Commander, she began, surprising him. Thank me? He repeated incredulously. For what? For the valuable data your responses have provided. The Imperium has been something of a mystery to us, expanding rapidly, but avoiding direct contact with Earth territory. We needed to understand whether coexistence would be possible. Zarek's mandibles clicked in irritation. And have you reached a conclusion, Captain? Cole's expression grew serious. That depends entirely on the Imperium's next moves. This encounter has been recorded and analyzed extensively. Earth now understands your tactics, your technology, your command structure, and your attitudes toward other species. Is that a threat? It's an observation, Cole replied calmly. Earth has no desire for conflict with the Imperium or any other spacefaring civilization. But we also cannot allow expansionist powers to threaten our interests or those of our allies. You speak as if your world is some great power, Zarek scoffed, a last attempt to salvage his dignity. Yet until now, you've been virtually invisible on the galactic stage. Cole smiled, a small, knowing expression that disturbed Zarek more than any display of force could have. There's an old Earth saying, High Commander, speak softly and carry a big stick. We prefer not to advertise our capabilities or intentions. We observe, we analyze, and we prepare. What you encountered here was just one scout unit. One small team designed to test responses without revealing our true capabilities. She leaned forward slightly. The Imperium would be wise to consider peaceful coexistence. Because I assure you, you don't want to meet our actual military force. As Cole departed, Zarek remained seated, contemplating her words. Throughout his long career, he had conquered dozens of worlds, faced countless alien species, and never once doubted the Imperium's ultimate superiority. Now, for the first time, he felt genuine uncertainty about the future. Back aboard his command vessel, as the withdrawal process began, Zarek called his master analyst to his private quarters. The data we gathered on the humans, I want it analyzed in complete secrecy. No reports to Central Command until I have reviewed the findings personally. Yes, High Commander. What specifically are you looking for? Zarek stared out at the stars, his reflection ghostly in the transparent aluminum of the viewport. I want to know how we could have been so wrong. These humans, they were always there, watching, waiting. Why didn't we see them? How many other powers might be out there, hiding their true strength? A comprehensive analysis will take time, sir. Then begin immediately. The future of the Imperium may depend on it. As his ship broke orbit, Zarek cast one last look at the planet below. Somewhere down there, Captain Irene Cole would be watching his departure, perhaps already communicating with her superiors about the Imperium's weaknesses. The thought burned like acid in his mind. On the planet's surface, Cole stood with her team and their new native allies, watching the Imperium vessels shrink to pinpoints of light in the evening sky. Think they got the message? Her executive officer asked. Cole nodded slowly. They got the message. Whether they'll heed it is another matter entirely. And if they don't, if they return with a larger force, then they'll discover exactly how unwise that would be, Cole replied calmly. Our mission was to assess and demonstrate, just enough to make them think twice without revealing our full capabilities. She turned to face her team, satisfaction evident in her expression. Scout Unit 7, mission accomplished. Let's prepare our findings for command. The Imperium just became a known quantity, and that information will protect a lot of innocent worlds in the future. As night fell on the liberated planet, Commander Hayes' vessels established a permanent orbital presence, the first official Earth military outpost in this sector of space. Far from being the end of an incident, it marked the beginning of a new balance of power. And in the vast depths of space, High Commander Zarek's vessel streaked toward Imperium territory, carrying with it a message that would send shockwaves through the highest levels of command. We engaged with humans, but it was only a scout unit. The revelation would change Imperium expansion policy forever. For the first time in its long history of conquest, the mighty Imperium had encountered a power that had been watching from the shadows, measuring and evaluating. A civilization that had chosen to remain hidden not out of weakness, but out of strength. As a ship entered faster-than-light travel, Zarek stood alone in his quarters, a rare feeling of vulnerability settling in his chest. The stars streaked past, each one potentially hiding more unknown threats. More civilizations like Earth, waiting and watching. For the first time in his life, the galaxy seemed a much larger, more dangerous place than he had ever imagined. Miles away, across the emptiness of space, Captain Irene Cole composed her final mission report with a simple conclusion. The Imperium has been evaluated and found wanting. Recommend continued observation, but minimal direct engagement. They now know we exist. And more importantly, they know they've only scratched the surface of what we can do. The age of Imperium expansion was over. The age of cautious coexistence had begun, and it had taken just one scout unit to change the course of galactic history.